ready to go. Welcome to the 2018 Hot Springs Bison Athletics Hall of Fame. We've got a great show lined up for you tonight. We have 5 amazing inductees going to the Hot Springs Hall of Fame tonight. These 5 inductees played at an elite level. They were at the top of their game, representing their school, the Hot Springs Bison. Before we get into the induction part, I got about 10 minutes of things I'd like to say. Tonight's ceremony is being taped. It'll be available on YouTube. Check the Hall of Fame webpage when it's, of course, availability, and let's make it go viral. I'd like to introduce members of the 2016 alumni class. We have Coach Jim Tate, who's inducted in. He's also in the South Dakota Hall of Fame. And his favorite words are, yep, yep, up, up, up. Guys in track will know what that means. As an individual, we also have Gerald Culligan, 2016. Gerald, back in the room. We also have members of the 1974 undefeated state champion football team and coach with us here tonight. Will those members please stand? Coach? There's more. We have 2 class reunions being held over this week. This is a big weekend. I mean, the bars are full. I'll stop there. Bars. I'd like to introduce members of the 1968 class celebrating their 50th class reunion. They donated this week, and those balloons, 1968. Will you guys please stand? Also in attendance, celebrating their 40th class reunion, the class of 1978. Will you folks please stand and wave? They're all back there.
And one way up here.
We have a very special event after this tonight, the concert, Shells of Time. 2 of the members are with us tonight, 67 football team, Mike English, Rick Shutterly. Will you guys please stand? How about that game last night? Yeah. How about those Bison? Part of the homecoming festivities is the crowning of the homecoming queen. We have a few in our room tonight. We have 2 homecoming queens that know each other really well. They happen to be related to each other. Now that doesn't seem like a big deal, but how they're related, it's kind of cool. They are mother and daughter. How often does that happen? Mother and daughter, alumni, homecoming queens. From the alumni class of 1956, Bernice Landers, and her daughter from the class of 1978, Kim Landers. Will you guys please stand? Bernice good. There's Jim.
All right.
Get their picture. Bernice, we got you. There's more. Speaking of pageantry and queens, Hot Springs, the city of Hot Springs was the host of the Miss South Dakota pageant for the last 72 years, since the mid-1940s. Last June was the last time it will be held in Hot Springs, and it's moving on. During that time, Hot Springs High School had four Miss South Dakotas. Four. Autumn Samanic Conrad, Miss South Dakota 2015. Amy DeHare Larson, Miss South Dakota 1985. Penny Sue Larson Hansen, Miss South Dakota 1981. And with us tonight, from the class of 1969, Miss South Dakota 1971, Susan Inman Thielen. Susan, please stand up. Susan. The Hot Springs Athletic Hall of Fame is gaining a lot of recognition for a lot of great donations by alumni, businesses, and special groups from far away. A special person from far away. I just learned this tonight, and I'd like to share it. Carolyn English, Mike's wife, had told a church member that she will be gone for the next 2 weeks. The church member was concerned. Where are you going? Carolyn said, I'm going to Hot Springs. We're celebrating inductees, and Mike is going to be playing with the band. It's a fundraiser. She said, well, can I donate? Yes, you can. We received a check for $20. Nice gift for someone that doesn't know anything about this. Speaking of fundraising, we started in the spring of 2016, year to date, about 60 months, 30 months, we've raised over $70,000. I was asked to be the fundraiser coordinator. I was okay with that. I can ask people for money. I mean, growing up in Hot Springs, my father was a banker. I asked him for money all the time. It was back then I learned how to overcome rejection. As most of you know, Woodward Field is getting a makeover. We now have NFL-style goalposts. So if the NFL comes calling, we're ready. A lot of local volunteers. When those goalposts came in, they had to be prepped and they had to be put in the ground properly. Thank all those people who took the time. You all noticed that the seating is getting better at Woodward Field. We had a lot of donations, a lot of people stood up, and we had a lot of volunteers to put names of those individuals that made contributions. One last very special guest I'd like to talk about. In your program, you'll see a picture of Luke Meadows, a graduate of 1994. Great bio. Anybody's ever met Luke Meadows, you know he's an outstanding individual. Luke is doing what coaches do. They go and they get that knowledge, they go to different universities, build that recruiting ground, and of course, gain financially. Luke's spent 10 years at South Dakota State, go Jackrabbits.
Okay.
For 10 years, the last 5 years he was associate head coach. He spent time in Florida Atlantic, Southern Mississippi, and he's currently at Eastern Michigan, the Eagles. And it'd be hard to have Luke here tonight, especially they're going to be teeing up here in a couple hours out in San Diego State. But his mom and dad are here tonight, and I ask that they would stand in honor of Luke, Gene, and Owen medals. It's fun to watch someone be successful in Division I football. Okay, we're ready to roll. I'd like to introduce the Master of Ceremonies. He's a little guy. He spent in Hot Springs from 1972 to 1984. He's an educator and football coach, track and field coach. There's only one word I can think of that describes Coach Gary Glenn, and that's excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Gary Glenn.
Thank you, Quinn. Thank you people for having me. Carlos called me sometime last spring or so. Carlos calls me quite a bit when I'm traveling down the road. He says, do you want to be the MC for the Hall of Fame? And I said, well, I don't tell jokes like Jerry Howe. And I says, I definitely don't put me in the same category of telling stories about single-wing football as Bill Keel, but I said, if you don't need anybody to do that, I said, you just need somebody to introduce. I said, I can handle that, but I do appreciate the honor and asking me to the committee. But I do want to get this rolling, because I will say my talking when we get down the list, I get introduced one of the players. Hopefully he's pretty comfortable. Hopefully when he gets up and takes his award, you people are comfortable, because he's got a stack of papers for his speech. He's my neighbor. So if he holds you too long, let me know. We will take care of that. First off, I'd like to introduce the first presenter, Joyce Farrell.
Thanks, Gary. I wish I could hang around to see what you're going to say. I'll be down at the Civic Center, though. I just for one more plug-in. We have lots of tickets left for the Shells of Time. It's not like dinner here tonight where we're stressing. We got lots of tickets left for Shells of Time, so please come on down. It's my honor to present the 1967 undefeated football team. They were a group of gentlemen who worked hard, exceeded every expectation that was given to them, and wound up ranked 10th in the state, and the only schools ahead of them were like Washington, Sioux Falls Lincoln, Sioux Falls O'Gorman, all those big time schools. At this time also I want to thank Bill Marks and ask him to come up because he's going to help me again. Bill was very helpful. I was able to find the senior members of the team, and Bill did all the rest of the work finding all the underclassmen because I was kind of going out of my mind getting things done. The team, as they played in the fall of 1967, you just had a sense of how they brought the school together and how they brought the community together. And I have to put a little sidelight in there that they brought the school together very well, but Mrs. Petty and Mrs. Redfield didn't quite get as much on the vote. The team had a lot of outstanding individuals, but really what set them apart from everybody is they were individuals who were able to come together as a team. Those of us involved in athletics, we all see different teams that have a lot of good individuals but don't manage to become a team. And these gentlemen managed to come together, be a team, and do what everybody thought that they couldn't do. And as you visit with some of the team members later tonight, if you have the chance, they've all become successful in what they're doing. I have to say most of them all have gray hair, and some of them walk because a little bit of a limp because they played football, but they made good lives, and they're good role models. And if you have young men or young women who want to talk to kids that were our generation, they would be good folks for them to talk to. As you look at the score sheets or study the score sheet, only one score was way out of line. All the rest of the games were under 14 points, most of them were under 6 points, and they were very, very stressful games. As we went through Memoryville, looking at all this, trying to remember everything, one particular game I remember, we finally won it 20-19, And I'll never forget Mr. Kenny McClung going 17 feet up in the air with his big long arms at the corner of the end zone, catching that ball, because that solidified the victory on that particular day. But as we talk about the quarterback, we talk about the backs, we talk about the receivers, you have to remember one thing my dad told all of us is a team is only as good as its line. That's right. And we had a terrific line. And in a few minutes I'll be naming the gentleman that played on the line. But those of you that follow sports know that you can have the best quarterback in the world, but if you don't have the offensive line to protect him, he can't do anything. And when Mr. Stiver walked in here today, he doesn't have any bruises left. Yeah. At this point in time, I'd like to ask the team members to come up. We have a certificate for you, and we also have a compiled directory from all the Rapid City Journal clippings of what your year was like we're going to give you. And I have Bill here to help me. So I'm going to start with the freshman, Mike English. And I have to speak a little bit with Mike and Rich, because they're kind of an anomaly that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, Rich Shuttler's a member also. These guys are in the Shells of Time, excellent musicians. Unfortunately now, so many of these kids go, would you stand behind me? That will sure. Because we have to take pictures. So these kids were able to do something that my class was able to do and they were able to do. You could be in music and athletics at the same time. Now, in middle school, they get to be one, or they get to be the other, and they get to be high school, you don't get the chance to do them both. And I feel really bad because many of our football team members were very good in thespian, in music, in band, and also very good in football, basketball, or wrestling. And so I feel bad that things have changed that way. You know, they haven't even waited for the rest of everybody to come up and they're taking your pictures. Golly, we gotta get the rest of these guys up here. Ben Kaiser. And Dan Wilder. Now I'll go with the gentleman up in the southward. They were probably beat up as much as everybody else. Joe Hiller. Sandy Holliston. Bill Marks, who's helping me out once again. I appreciate it greatly. Ivan Melhoff. And Gary Piper. That was the sophomore. So I imagine these two guys, these classes probably got beat up pretty bad. Because you're only as good as the people you practice against, and these guys were good. Our juniors, Casey Dunsmore, Dennis Melhoff, Mark Stiver, Casey Barrick, and Craig Waldron is no longer with us, but he's represented by his grandson, Aaron Waldron. Now we come to a great class of 1968. Charlie Brown, Bill Case, Lyndall Hewitt, Chuck March is represented by Karen March, Kenny McClung, Gary Pierce represented by Sam Pierce, Steve Sigley, George Vandewater represented by his grandson Trevor Vandewater, and Larry Barrick. I kind of did this backwards for a particular purpose, because sometimes you read how good people are and then you bring them up. You guys, you have to be quiet. I've been herding cats all weekend. I can't wait for tomorrow. So as you look at these gentlemen here, recognize that we placed 16 players of a 31 that was left able to play, football players on the Black Hills All-Conference team. That's over half of it. We had Kenny McClung, Steve Sig, Bill Case, Mark Stiver, John Tyson, Chuck March, Larry Barrick, Casey Dunsmore, George Vandewater, Gary Pierce, Craig Walburn, Bill Himmelwright, Lyndall Hewlett, Charlie Brown, Dennis Melhoff, and Gary Piper. We took over the All Black Hills Conference recognition in the paper that time. And as I alluded to earlier, this team placed 10th in the Sioux Falls Artist Leader poll. And many years ago, there wasn't all Class A, Class AA, Class AAA, Class Quadruple A. There was just one class. And so these guys lost out to Washington, O'Gorman, Pierre, Yankton, Lincoln, Rapid City. They didn't lose out to anybody our size. We were 9 and zip. We were great. We placed 2 players on the All-State team. Would you step forward? Bill Case and Kenny McClung. Okay. We also have Bill Case named to the Sioux Falls Argus Leader Team. Okay. This team won a lot of statistics. Okay. Statistically, they were picked. What's nice is, you all read the newspapers, and we were all picked to finish at the bottom of the Black Hills Conference, let alone go 9 and zip. And I think we all read that newspaper, especially these guys here, and they thought, And even in the middle of the season, you read the newspaper articles, these guys are going to read, well, now we're the Cinderella team. We're really not supposed to get there, but we'll get there. We're not there. Yeah, we got there. We had 13 seniors on the team. Mark Stiver was a junior quarterback, and he completed over 6% of his passes. Kenny McClung caught 28 passes for 535 yards on a team that averaged only 10 passes a game. He also scored 8 touchdowns and is one of the top 440-yard runners in the state. Chuck Marsh led the team in scoring with the power to go up the middle and the speed to go outside. And he was also one of the best track athletes in the state. Larry Varick was a monster going up the middle. Bill Case and Steve Sig anchored the line. Nobody got by him. They were tough. And John Tyson isn't here, but he was our 147-pound center. And not very big, but let me tell you, he stopped everybody going through. And that's, what can I say? I'd like to now introduce Sharon McGaw-Falk. She'll be escorted by her son Scott, because she's representing Charlie McGaw, who was the line coach, who was a very, very instrumental person in making this team come together. He had the right words, he had the right motivation, and he knew exactly what to do. Unfortunately, we couldn't find one coach, and all of the coaches are obviously deceased, but I wanted Sharon to come with Scott and the rest of the family. Joe, Lisa, and Robin are here to recognize what an effect Charlie had on these young men here. The only effect Charlie had on me is he taught biology, and my frog got loose in the class one day, and I couldn't leave the class until I got my frog back. But that was my contact with Charlie. But he was a very instrumental, and I think these gentlemen, if you talk to each one of them, could tell you how Mr. McGaw affected them, as well as Don Mathis and Mr. Cogdill. I mean, they all had an effect, but I'll never forget Charlie out there in the line. He was pretty tremendous. At this time, I believe we have a plaque that will go up in Case Auditorium, and then we have a statue that we'll give, and I'd like Bill Case to come up and accept the statue. And then he doesn't get it easy now. He has to do the acceptance speech for the team, because I just picked him, but if anybody else wants to do it for him, I'm sure he'll be okay with it. So it's been my honor to present this group of gentlemen to you. They're a fantastic group of gentlemen.
This is an overwhelming honor. On behalf of the team, I'd like to thank you, the committee, for this honor. It is truly an outstanding honor, and it's truly a team honor. One of the things about our team, and Joyce spoke of it, is we had no weak links. Everybody up here was a good ball player. We had great coaches. When Coach Mathis would ask you to do something, you did it. And when Coach McGaw put his hand on your shoulder and asked to give your all, you gave your all. And we had the worst part of the team, though, is probably having to practice against these guys. If you had to go up against Steve Sig in practice and get hit by Steve Sig, you look forward to the game because you know nobody was going to hit you that hard. If you could tackle Larry Berry coming up the middle, you knew there would not be a team that had a player that would be any harder to tackle. He liked to hurt people. I can't tell you how hard it was to tackle the likes of Chuck March or Lyndall Hewlett or Kenny McClung, because I couldn't catch him. But I tell you, the depth of the team is what it was. It was just outstanding. But more important, our real strength was the support that we got. Our cheerleaders, led by Charlene Darnell, were just phenomenal. You couldn't have asked for more support from the student body. I tell you, You go up and down the hall, the pats on the back you got before the game of encouragement, the pats on the back when you showed up on school on Monday was outstanding. It truly did, like Joyce said, bring the team together and the school together, and our family and our friends that supported us. Everywhere you went, everybody was always cheering for you. You walked downtown and we were treated well. One of our probably favorite things to do was get a haircut during the season. You go to the barber shop for 20 or 30 minutes of your life, you were treated like royalty, and that was really important. And I haven't even spoke about our greatest fan, Joyce Farrell. She's been cheering us on, and she's not just so on behalf of my team, we would like to share this honor, and it is an extremely great honor. We'd like to share it with all those people that supported us. Thank you very much.
Under 10 minutes, right?
We're going to do group photos, so I need you to right here.
It's going to be 25. There's a reason why
Of course, your dad is not.
Stay where you're at.
Sorry, you guys could help me out.
There you
Bunny and Lorna. Three of the five cheerleaders are here tonight. We need to have a picture with these guys.
Bison, Bison, Bison!
Cheerleaders don't know how to do this group. I was watching them now.
they've changed it.
Yeah.
One.
sorry. I got Miss South Dakota next to me. Hi, I'm Amy. Nice to see you.
You guys, can I say something?
He's the really big guy in the back.
Being a Donnell, I have to. So I'm going to say, thunder, thunder, thunderation, Bison, delegation, went fight with determination. We're the best team in the nation.
Number 11.
Mike and Rich are heading out to get ready for tonight. We're gonna, next.
Carolyn.
Okay, thank you. Next is for Jackie Dement Melcher. Presenter will be Cheryl Huddleston. Make sure I get her name right. I've already found out that I missed one. I didn't know that Bill Cofield had changed his name to Keel, but
We're reminded.
that was his out-of-town name. Sorry about that, Bill. But anyway, we could have Cheryl Huddleston, please.
93 to 97.
Right here.
I'm right here. Yeah, just.
The person I coached and taught with for many, many years. So a big thank you to that group of people that were the inaugural force behind getting this Hall of Fame organization started. This has been just a super weekend already, and I think it's going to continue on into this evening too with the band. I had the pleasure of growing up with most of you, a lot of you here in this room, and then not only growing up with a lot of you, but then teaching some of your sons and daughters afterwards. So that is just awesome. We had a lot of talent. We've had a lot of talented athletes over the years that have come out of this high school, and it's nice to see some recognition for people that may be not aware of that. I'm here to recognize one of those talented young ladies who was a big part of the 96 and 97 state track meet titles that the girls girls high school team won. Were fortunate enough to accomplish. But that year is kind of like what I hear them talking about from that year of '68 too, is that the boys and girls teams both, we had some phenomenal athletes those years. In the track team itself, we had region title wins for both teams that year. Repeat state title, this is in '97, a repeat state title for the girls, that was 2 in a row. We had a 4th place finish for the boys that same year, which was, I believe, one of the highest places that the boys team has had. And that resulted then in a combined state meet title for both teams. We were the top Class A team in the state that year. One of the girls that contributed to that, one of the young ladies, is Jacqueline Dement Melcher. And you can't talk about Jackie Dement very often without also mentioning her twin sister Jenny. When you have a set of twins, it's just
I don't know, it's just something special about that. And we've had that happen various times in some of our other sports here at Hot Springs, to have a set of twins to work with, and it just makes things awesome. So Jenny is going to be accepting for her sister tonight because Jackie is kind of grounded in South Carolina. And so she will hopefully be joining us via the internet here in a little bit. But I'm going to talk a little bit about Jackie, or a lot about Jackie and a little bit about Jenny too. The two girls transferred here when Jenny transferred in when she was a junior. She came at the beginning of the school year, and I had gotten to know her a little bit. I never had either one of the girls in class, but I just coached them in track. And Jackie started then in the second semester. And I got to know Jenny a little bit that first semester, and I had come into school that morning and stopped at the office to talk a little bit and talked with a group of kids that were hanging around there. And I got upstairs to second floor, which was where my classroom was, and all of a sudden I saw Jenny again. At least I thought it was Jenny. And I said, well, Jenny, how'd you get up here so fast? Because she had been hanging with those kids downstairs, I thought, and hadn't any plans to come up on second floor. And this young lady said, well, I'm Jackie, her twin sister. And that just pretty much set the tone for the next 2 years. I never could tell them apart. Coach Scott, however, he came up with a rather unique method of telling them apart on the track field. He always looked at their shoes first. And then he knew who he was talking to because they never wore the same kind of shoes. And same color anyway. So he always knew who Jackie and Jenny were when he'd look down at their shoes and see that. But he never shared that with me till they graduated. So, you know, it's like, okay, I never did well with telling them apart. So that's a little story about Jackie and Jenny. The bio listing in your program tells you why I nominated Jackie. She was a two-time state champion and second place winner in her junior year here at Hot Springs, and then she was a three-time state champion her senior year. A little background story on that is we never know, and we tease her once in a while, that she might have been a four-time state champion because she both started in the 100-meter dash, which if any of you are track people, you know that's the first event out of the chute at the preliminary days. And since we were going for a second title, which Dave Scott, if any of you knew him, he had it all figured out point-wise. Before the meet started, he knew exactly what the girls had to do, and their Jackie vault starts in the preliminary event of the first, right off the bat. He just, okay, we're going to get over this, and Jackie came back and, excelled. So that's what she did in track. Worked with the girls, and we came up with 2 state titles in 96 and 97, but you might not also know that Jackie played volleyball and basketball during her short time here. Volleyball at that time was a winter sport, so she got there just in time for the volleyball season. The team in 97 finished 3rd at state. Jackie was named to first team All-State, the All-Star team, and had a record number of 19 solo blocks that year, which is pretty awesome for just her first year. Well, she played 2 years in volleyball at the state tournament, yes. Her basketball season was cut short by illness, but I do seem to remember, and some of you might recognize some of these names, she and Jenny would get together a bunch of people and they'd go to open gym, or I don't know if you just played after on weekends or what you did, but they played against the guys. And we're talking Mickey Dennis, Kevin Couch, Andrew Shearer, and those girls could hold their own against those guys. So we're talking about some talent. After graduation, Jackie was recruited by USD to run track, and then she was a walk-on in volleyball. She played for 1 year, competing indoor and outdoor in the long jump, triple jump, and hurdles, which is what she'd done in high school. She then transferred to Sheridan College in Wyoming, and played basketball with Jenny. That team went on to a 7th place finish at the National NCAA Junior College tournament that year. After an educational break of a few years, Jackie returned to college and, amazingly enough, graduated from the School of Mines in 2011 with a civil engineering degree. She's worked in the engineering field since then. She's currently living and working in Charleston, South Carolina with her husband Rob, who is career Air Force, and he's stationed at Joint Base Charleston, so they also went through kind of the edges of the hurricane. And the reason Jackie's not here tonight is because they're awaiting the arrival of their second son, who is supposed to be born in October, in 2 weeks. And they told her she couldn't leave, she was grounded. So she couldn't leave. So thank heaven that Jenny was available and is here tonight with us. She is living in Rapid City with her family. Jenny was also a member of both state championship teams as a runner and a jumper. And she was also on the 4x2 relay team that year that came from lane 8 and took the state title. We had people in the stands saying, "Oh, Hot Springs, what are they doing in lane 8? Oh, they just handed off first. Oh, they just handed off first again. Well, they just handed off first again." I can remember some of the stands, people in the stands saying, "What is this team doing from lane 8? And they won. So, yeah. The girls did what they had to do, and I would like to introduce to you Jenny DeMent Osborne, Jackie's twin sister.
Thank you, everyone. I debated on letting you know if I really was Jenny or not, because you probably couldn't tell the difference. However, I want to first of all thank Ms. Huddleston, Coach Tays, the other staff and families and people in Hot Springs that have supported everyone, all the athletes, all the students. You know, Jackie and I were a bit nomadic growing up. We went to 3 high schools in 4 years. New York, Florida, and finished here. We always had each other. However, being involved in sports gave us a sense of belonging and a sense of you know, having a support system and a family. We don't have the luxury of saying, "Oh, I went to high school with you," or "I went to school with you since kindergarten," or whatever. We had each other as all. I want to recognize my parents, who are both deceased, but if Mom were alive, she'd be here. So to start back to Jackie's track career, we lived in New York from 7th through 9th grade. We ran cross country there and played lacrosse on the boys team, of course. I'm kind of like, my nickname was Cream Puff growing up. Jackie's was Tiger. I'm older by 1 minute, but she's, if you guys know us, she's much more aggressive and much more, I think athletically we're both probably the same, genetically the same. However, her drive and her desire to be the best at everything is probably what makes her, you know, top the charts. But anyway, we played in lacrosse, and Jackie, of course, the girl, we were the only girl on the team, and she scored our first goal this season. She went on to score many goals for the team. And New York State is big for lacrosse and hockey, and it's East Coast thing, but anyway. Then our freshman year, back in New York, they had the 400 hurdles. So that's like once around the track. Here it's 300. Jackie qualified for the state meet in the 400 hurdles. So Jackie and I and our coach and a couple other girls went down to Niagara Falls, or it was Buffalo. But I remember you know, Jackie's this little tiny thing competing in the 400 hurdles at state track meet in New York. I don't recall what she placed, I mean, but her drive and desire back then just was unmistakable. I guess the one thing I want to also point out to piggyback on what the previous inductees mentioned was the support of the town. I remember at our state track meets, you could hear, whenever someone would come in their event, the whole crowd, which was majority blue, right? You were at the state track meet, there's a huge grandstand. Every school in the state's competing there. You have half the stands are blue, and they're chanting, "Jackie, Jackie, Jackie," or Jenny, or Dustin, or Donald, or whoever was competing at the state meet that year. And you know, we came back from state track meet our junior year I think we finished in Elk Point or something, I don't remember, somewhere East River. And you have the 5-hour drive back. The whole town created like a welcoming ceremony for us when we got back to town. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. And the high school parking lot was full of people there to welcome us back because we just won state. So I just think that the success of your school and your team is from the people that are around them. It's the teachers giving them a pat on the back and making them stay focused on their grades to make sure they can compete. And that sense of belonging and family is something that, well, I'll never forget from being in Hot Springs. So, I'd like to bring Jackie on now, via video conference from Charleston. If we can get her up there. And she can do the official formal acceptance. Oh, one more thing. Jackie walked on at USD for volleyball, started, broke a school record at USD in vertical high jump. 27 inches. White girls can jump. And then went on in Florida to play on the Bud Light Tour couples sand volleyball circuit. Jackie. Say something, Jackie.
To point this out, how y'all doing tonight? I'm honored to be able to, with technology, join you all tonight for the festivities and be surrounded by such amazing athletes. I have a quote and that you probably all heard, and I'm making a kind of funny quote because it's very fitting. It says, life isn't about how many breaths you take, but the moments to take your breath away. Well, that's not true because we had both moments to take our breath away and a lot of breathtaking when we had track practice with Coach Scott and did fartleks and ran the viaduct. So a lot of us were out of breath frequently in our junior and senior year. I can tell you that I was fortunate enough to have athletic talent, but we were hard workers and we had grit. We had coaches that were tough on us, that expected us to excel and be at a level that not other schools had. For instance, when we had a beautiful day on a Saturday for a track meet and it was 75 degrees, we had to keep our warm-ups on the entire time. We're not allowed to take off our jackets and our pants and bathe in the sun like every other school student was able to do. Because we had coaches like Coach Tays and Coach Scott that said, no, protect your skin, you'll get worn out, don't get sunburned. So it was just a level of excellence they expected from us, and representing the Hot Springs school and community and to be a Bison was something that we were very proud of. All of my teammates made me who I was and pushed me to be the athlete that I was. We had a phenomenal group of girls, ladies, women, that we all in it together. Like Coach Ellison mentioned earlier, yeah, I've all started. I'd never done it my entire life prior to that, and never once after that. It was a one-time occurrence that was hard on me as an individual to have done that, and then have to come back and be resilient, have enough grit to then succeed in my remaining 3 events my senior year. Our relay team, the eighth lane is like the worst lane, you know, okay, they're not even gonna be a contender, well, they won it. So we were resilient, we had grit. My husband, when we were in Japan until just about a month and a half ago, I was wearing my Black Hills State Conference Championship t-shirt. This is 21 years old, and it literally is see-through. And he was teasing me, and he said, honey, I think you should get a new t-shirt. And I said, you know, I don't know why I still wear this thing, but I was so proud to be a member of our team and be part of Hot Springs community and go to school there. And what's so ironic about that is either that day or the next day,